Hi, and welcome to the last video of systems, which is the applications or the modeling problems. Just like we do in all modeling problems, I really highly recommend that you read or reread the problem and make sure that you annotate it. Annotation is key in order for us to be able to understand what the problem's asking, what are the things that we are given, and what the equations are that we need to come up with. So definitely read the problem. Then you want to make sure you identify what it is that you are looking for. What do you want to know? Name what you are looking for. That means choose a variable and define that variable based off of the context of the problem. Then you want to make sure you write an equation, solve the system, check your answer. All right, and then definitely answer the question. So let's go ahead and get started with the first example. So we're not going to just translate, we're actually going to go ahead and solve the system. So we have the sum of two numbers is, meaning equals, negative 14. So I am adding two numbers. My number one is going to be, first number is x, my second number is y, and I know that if I add them, that's what sum means. That's going to equal negative 14. So that's the first equation. My second equation says one of these numbers, and I'm just going to call that x, is, meaning to see equals, and I have less than, which means to say that's negative, and whatever comes in front has to be switched to what comes after the equal. Okay, so my second equation is going to be x is equal to y minus 4. So now, I notice that I have an x that is defined and I have an x in my other equation. So what I'm going to end up doing is replacing the x in my first equation with what I've defined x to be. So my new equation is going to look like this. Y minus 4, which is what I defined x to be, plus my second number y is going to equal to negative 14. I'm going to combine my like terms. Then I'm going to add 4 to both sides. Let me bring this up here. So I have 2y is equal to negative 10. Divide both sides by 2. Y is equal to negative 5. Then I go ahead and plug negative 5 back in for my y value that is defines x. So x is going to equal negative 5 minus 4, which is equal to negative 9. If I wanted to check this answer, I could plug both of these numbers into my equations, and it has to be both of the equations. So negative 9 plus a negative 5 definitely equals negative 14, so I know I did that right. And then I can say that x, which is negative 9, is going to equal to negative 5, which is my y variable, minus 4, and that's definitely true. So I know I did this problem correctly. Therefore, we answered the question. We know what my two numbers are, and we are good to go. There's really no other context to this problem. Let's do the next example. We have a married couple earns $110,000 a year. So meaning to say, if I make H the husband and W the wife, then I know that W plus H is going to equal to 110,000, because if we're adding their salaries together, that is what it's going to equal. Now, it says here that the wife earns, so the wife earns, meaning to say W equals 16,000 less than, so that means negative, or I'm subtracting, but I'm subtracting and I have to flip the thing that comes in the front and in the back. Twice what her husband earns. So twice means 2 times whatever her husband earns. So that means to say W is going to equal to 2h minus 16,000. Now, just like before, I notice that I've defined a w to be an expression, and I have a w in my original equation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace the w in the first equation with what I've defined w to be. So my new equation is going to be 2h minus 16,000 plus h is equal to 110,000. Okay, so I'm going to simplify. I have 3h minus 16,000 is equal to 110,000. I'm going to add 16,000 to both sides. So 3h is going to equal 126,000. Finally, we divide by 3. H is going to equal to $42,000. So that's how much the husband earns. To determine what the wife earns, we are going to plug $42,000 into H. So that's what I'm going to do next. So to determine the wife, I'm going to do 2 times 42,000 minus 16,000. And if we were to calculate this, W is going to end up equaling $68,000. We can go ahead and check. I've already done that, and it does come out to be that these are the answers. We didn't do anything wrong, which means to say the husband earns $42,000 because that's all we really needed to know, but we answered for the wife as well. That's our answer for that question. That's example 2. Example 3. So for example 3, we're talking about 2 different instances when Jenna worked out. So the first time she worked out, she did 10 minutes on the elliptical, and then she did a circuit training of 20 minutes. Her fitness app says that she burned 278 calories. So if I say E is going to equal the number of calories burned, per minute. And if I were to say that C is going to equal the number of calories burned per minute, and I should say on the elliptical here, during circuit training. Then, for the first time Jenna worked out, she did 10 minutes on the elliptical, so 10 times E is going to equal the total number of calories she burned on the elliptical, plus 20 minutes times the number of calories burned on this during circuit training, and that's going to equal the total amount of calories she burned. Now, the second instance says that she spent 20 minutes on the elliptical and then 30 minutes on the circuit training, and she burned 473 calories. So for the second time she worked out, she did 20 minutes on the elliptical plus 30 minutes on the circuit training, and she burned 473 calories. Okay. Now notice none of these variables are solved for either E or C, which means to say I think the easiest way for me to do this problem is by using elimination. And I notice that if I double this first term and make it negative, then the E terms would cancel. So I'm going to multiply by -2. So I have -20E minus 40C is equal to -556. And then I'm just going to transfer what I already have for my second one straight across, just for ease of adding. And then I add, that cancels. This becomes -10C is equal to negative 83. And then we divide both sides by negative 10. So C is equal to 8.3 calories. So Jenna burns 8.3 calories per minute. To find out what the calories per minute on the elliptical would be, I'm just going to take that second equation and I'm going to plug in my C value. So I'm going to have 20E plus 30 times 8.3 is equal to 473. So 20E plus 249 is equal to 473. I subtract, so 20E is equal to 224. So the number of calories burned on the elliptical is 11.2. Now, to answer the question, how many does she burn for each minute on the elliptical trainer? How many does she burn in each minute of the circuit training? So I already checked these, so we can just answer she will burn 8.3 calories per min on the circuit training and 11.2 calories per minute on the elliptical. We just answered that question. Okay, so the next couple of examples are when we're talking about complementary and supplementary angles. So complementary angle, I think complement, corners have 90 degrees. So the sum of the measure of their angles is going to be equal to 90 degrees. Supplementary, the sum is going to equal 180 degrees. Okay, so I'm going to start one of them. I'll probably finish one of them, and then the next one will have to be in the next video. So I have the difference of two complementary angles is 26 degrees. So if I have one angle being X and the other angle being Y, I know that the difference, meaning to say subtraction, is going to be 26. I also know if I were to add them, that's going to equal 90 degrees. So guess what? I have a positive, I have a negative. I can actually add them together. Those two would cancel. And I have 2x is equal to 116. If I were to divide by 2, I'm going to look at my cheat sheet. If I were to divide x by 2, I would get that x is equal to 58. Okay, so that is one of my two angles. Now all I'm going to do is plug it into whichever one I want. I'm going to plug it into this one over here. So I'm going to say 58 plus y is equal to 90. I subtract 58 from both sides, and I get that y is equal to 32 degrees. So those are the measures of both of these angles. And I'm going to stop the video here so that I don't rush through my last two examples. Okay, so please check out video 2.